Good evening, everyone. It is March 19th, 2023. Just going with a little bit of a review before we get into what I'm looking at on the week. Now, we opened this week with a gap down. I'd been looking for 38.34 to trade in the event that we got down below the 80s. Came pretty close. I think I came about 5 points or 4 points short of that target. Now, this felt very similar to what we had a couple weeks ago, where we had someone sitting on this very heavily here, as you can see, making lower highs repeatedly, and they got squeezed once we tagged a prior area of demand back here. Similarly, someone aggressively selling this thing down. You can see it really clearly over here, and eventually, when we hit this demand zone, they were squeezed. This was a much smaller time frame relative to this time frame, and that's why I think that squeeze took a little bit more time. You did have sellers hitting it after hitting that area of demand. We did see sellers hitting it, and then eventually you got the squeeze. Whereas a couple of weeks ago, it was hit the demand zone, instantaneously squeeze. Now, there was not follow through on that squeeze. That happened on Thursday. Thursday we got that ramp up. Let me just check my notes. Yeah, Thursday we had that big ramp up above the 70s. All those guys got squeezed, and then we had some distribution at the highs with the point of control shifting late in the day towards the close, and then Friday opened up, which just sold perfectly off that distributive point of control, and then we sold down to about last month's low kind of thing, around 38.47 ish, and where Thursday's VWAP close had been. So we just kind of churned into there for OPEX. So now, what am I looking at for this week? Well, most importantly, we have FOMC on Wednesday, and of course, that's going to be the main focus of attention. And because of that, I don't think we're going to have any huge moves until then. We have had all this Credit Suisse, and whatever else, SVIB, this and that, FTX, all this news crap is getting to be quite a bit. So, in general, if we don't have any huge news spikes, I'll be looking for us to mainly trade within this balance zone for the large part. And then Wednesday, we can have the fireworks that hopefully set us out of this balance, and we can decide if we're going to trade up to 40.55 or if we're going to go make new lows on the year. Um, Again, just mainly think we're balancing between this, I don't know, 39.70s down to 38.75. So it's kind of this 100-point range in here is where I'm mostly looking at us balancing between. Nothing has really changed for me for the most part. So far, all I know is that we were unable to sustain a squeeze above this balance, and we were unable to sustain selling below this balance. So to me, we're truly in neutral. We've had a failed breakdown and a failed breakout, and now we're just kind of trading back within that balance. Now, if we start to trade below about 39.45 or so, I think we'll go ahead and come down to just last week's half back, kind of that 38.15 to 20 area. That's what I'll generally be looking for. And then I wouldn't really be interested in buying this thing at the earliest at 39.05s, but really looking for those balance lows to come into play once we had a look above and failed. Just like how we looked below, failed, we eventually came up to the other side of balance. Similarly, looking above balance, failing, I expect us to come down to the other side of balance. So, not much to say this week. Short video for you guys for the weekly outlook. I just don't really see anything of importance happening here. The monthly point of control is just kind of aimlessly around here. So is the weekly from last week. So is the daily from yesterday. They all just kind of closed around that 45 to 55 area. Nothing really, no major imbalance to me. To me, we've just had a look below the balance, failed, came back up, looked above the balance, failed, came back below, and now we're just in waiting mode for FOMC. That's how I'm looking at this. Hope that helps anyway. Have a great Sunday. Trade safe on this Globex. See you guys.